When it comes to back to the game of hockey, I see that you've kind of worked with both sides, the younger talent, and then you've worked at the Quebec Major Junior Hockey level. Two different personalities, two different skill levels, two different everything. What do you enjoy more?
I tell you, when I was coaching major midget hockey and I had an opportunity to coach scout with the Eagles. And a gentleman just passed away a couple of months ago, Johnny Varon in the Valley, who was a great guy, was doing the job for the Eagles. And he came to me and said, look, I just can't get to the city to watch games.
Yeah.
So he introduced me to a gentleman by the name of Gary Lesage, who was an icon, I believe, in the Quebec League for a number of years. He knew everybody and he did a great job with me of introducing me to everybody. When I went in, French, English, didn't make a difference. I was introduced to people. So again, I got another network there through the Quebec League, and I met some wonderful people in the 12 years I worked there. And I don't miss it now because I like Saturday night. I like sitting at home and just relaxing as opposed to bundling up at 6:30 to go to the rink and maybe freeze somewhere. But it was a great opportunity. We had a wonderful run when I was in Cape Breton. And, good bunch of guys. We had a team. We were a team. Our scouting staff was a team too. So it made it a big difference.
I just remember a time when I was with the Mooseheads. I was healthy scratched a bunch, and I was up in the press box, and I saw you because where the healthy guys sit on the far left up in the press box, and I see you walk in from the far right where like Bobby stands and all the food is, and there's probably a good 15, 20 guys up in scouts, management, whatever. And I remember you pretty much shook everyone's hand before you sat down. It probably took you, you're in my peripherals. I was just looking at you. It probably took you 10, 15 minutes to sit down because you're shaking everyone's hand.
That's how you keep relationships. That's how you build them. Then you'd be sitting there. And I remember one night it was a guy that was by himself. He was a pro scout. Yeah. And it was Mario Marois was his name. And he came over to me at one point and said, hey, sort of a little broken English. And he played in the NHL. He was a pretty good player. He was scouting for Vancouver. Okay. He goes, can I ask you a couple of questions? He was asking me about how long he's going to get to Sydney, where he should go eat, because he found out I worked for the Eagles. It's a fraternity. And, it's a wonderful world to be in. Like I said, would I go back to scouting tomorrow? Maybe. But not, and because I really enjoy what I'm doing now, working in minor hockey. So, I'm focused on that. I don't have any distractions, and it's a busy job in the winter. Yeah. So, but no, the scouting was it had its fun. Hey, listen, let's not kid ourselves. You walked in the rink, people knew you were a major junior scout. You had a lot of friends too. People wanted to be your friend. Yeah. And they thought it made a difference. But I really enjoyed my time there. And like I said, I worked with a great bunch of guys, Gary Lesage, Yannick Lemay, who's now with the Winnipeg Jets. Pascal Vincent was the head coach. And when you got to know your coach, and you knew you could walk in a rink and watch a player and everybody go, oh, that player, not in our world. I knew that he would not get along, in our environment that we had as a team. So, made a big difference. We had some real successful drafts over the years. And, it's fun to get to know those guys too,
Did you struggle at all with the politics of it all? People messaging you saying, hey, my kid's the real deal, get him here. Like, when I talk to people that are high up in the rankings of scouting, management, agents, they talk about the politics aspect of it. Is there anything like that you maybe struggled with, or do you thought you handled it pretty well as a professional?
I don't think the proliferation of social media was as bad. I mean, I've been out for 10 years now. Yeah. So, but during that time, you might have people come up. It was more face-to-face stuff. It wasn't emailing or.
Well, that's why it's more difficult, I find.
Yeah, but you kind of ignored them.
In what sense? Just I'll talk to you later, man. Have a good day.
Just exactly. If a parent came up to me and said something, I said, look, I really make an effort of after the season's over to talk to people. Yeah. During the season, no, because I watched dressing rooms get ruined by. Johnny's got in bantam hockey. Johnny's got a spot with the Subways. Johnny's got a spot with the Max. Whatever. And suddenly you saw kids not play as hard because So I took that to junior too. And I was really busy in the month of May. I was at a lot of homes in Bahia, Nova Scotia, sitting at kitchen tables and, discussing, what it would be to play it was more playing in the Quebec League. You were selling the Quebec League as opposed to the Screaming Eagles.
Interesting. Yeah. What's the common thread what's the common conversation when you're sitting at a family dinner table with the kid and the parents? What do you, other than the team, what are you trying to pitch for when it comes to the league?
Well, the biggest thing is that I found people did more research on buying a new microwave factual research than they did on their child's hockey.
Really?
It would be more like, well, I heard this and I heard that, as opposed to here are the facts. Yeah. You're going to travel on a bus. Yeah. You're going to go to school. In our world, here's when we went to school. Yeah. When I started there, it switched from having a morning practice to an afternoon practice. Yeah. because Steve Dixon was drafted and his mom said, I want Steven to go to school. So after we drafted him, head coach looked at me and goes, I guess we're doing afternoon practices. I said, yeah, I think it'd be prudent. So they changed their environment. And so I was able to tell people, here's what it's about. Your kid's gonna be living with a billet. And by the way, Mom, your son now is another mother. And don't take offense by that. Say thank you to that. Cape Breton was a wonderful place for the billets. There's still Eric McRae is a gentleman up there who's been a billet since day one.
Wow.
And one of his latest has been Pierre-Luc Dubois. So of course he had a picture of Pierre getting ripped apart by torts the other
I saw
day.
that this morning.
Yeah, so the people up there, they're such wonderful people that they cared. So as a parent, you would sit there and go, oh, my son's going to a great place.
Yeah. Well, did you listen to Igor's podcast when he was talking about his billets?
Yes. Yeah.
My God, he just couldn't thank. Every sentence was out of his mouth was thanking his mom billet, his parents, or the billet. It just. But then you believe him. You're like, yeah, that's the people in Cape Breton.
Yes.
Like he's living there, I'm pretty sure, for free right now. He's just like, yeah, whatever, just stay here. You can't go back to Russia. Don't worry, we'll take care of you. Yep. Pretty sure like he drove in with his billet's car. Like he just take it. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. And they do a very good job of screening up there. Like every place. There's been some issues over the years, but next move along, right?
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of people. Marc-Andre Fleury had some wonderful billets, and when he got drafted, his mom and dad were there and his billet parents. At his wedding, his billet parents were there. They stay in touch. I don't know if he's come back as much, of course, not back this year, but usually every year he's back in Cape Breton to visit.
Really? I didn't know that.
And that's, but he is like, and there, he was a goalie when I was there, and everything you see is what he was.
It's one thing I wish I experienced was the billet aspect of it. I never did. Did Luke get to experience it?
No.
It's one thing, like Safaris, a good buddy of mine, he'll still text his billets from Gatineau.
Yeah.
And just like I never had that relationship. It seems like a really cool one to have for the rest of your life. It seems like he's been out of junior hockey for 10 years now, and he's still talking to them.
Well, one of the things I believe that, and Steve Dixon was an example of this, and Joey Haddad, two guys that played with us.
Yeah.
Being local was good that Steven didn't play in Halifax. And Joey didn't play in Cape Breton to start. He played in PEI. I think the pressure of a player to play in their hometown is a lot greater because for the first 2 years Steve came to Halifax to play, he was usually the worst player on the ice.
Really?
Yeah, he just had bad games. And he'd be frustrated as can be, but pressure, play in front of his buds, his family be there. But when he played in Sydney, where he played in Moncton, he was a rock star. So, I think as you get older, I think it's better for a guy to, to come back home as opposed to start at home. Some can do it. Like Andrew Bondarchuk did it. I listened to Chuck's podcast the other day. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. And he, very mature young man.